I want you to understand something powerful today. What they are saying behind your back has no power over your destiny. Let me remind you, your destiny is in your hands, not in the mouths of those who choose to speak about you in secret. Their words may sting, but they have no authority over the direction your life is heading. When people talk behind your back, it's not a reflection of who you are, but a reflection of their own insecurities, misunderstandings, and fears. People speak about what they don't understand, and they speak against what they fear. You see, when you're on the path of greatness, not everyone will understand your journey. They won't understand your vision, your purpose, your sacrifices, or your passion. But let me tell you something, the higher you rise, the louder the whispers will be. And the louder the whispers, the more evidence you have that you're on the right path. Understand this. My friend, those who talk behind your back are not your enemies. They are a confirmation that you are moving forward. If you were stagnant, if you were irrelevant, they would have nothing to say. But the very fact that they speak of you in your absence means you are making an impact, whether good or bad, whether they approve of you or not. You must realize that your worth is not measured by the opinions of others. Your worth is defined by your vision, your faith, and your obedience to the calling on your life. When they speak about you, let it be a reminder that you are doing something right. You are shaking the very foundations of their comfort zones. They want to talk because they are threatened by the possibility of your greatness. Never allow their words to define you. The opinions of others are a reflection of them, not of you. In this life, you will have critics, you will have naysayers, and you will have people who try to bring you down. But you must stand tall, unwavering in your belief in yourself, in your purpose, and in the vision God has placed in your heart. What they are saying behind your back cannot stop your forward progress. Do not let their words affect your stride. Keep walking in your truth. Keep walking in your purpose. The higher you go, the more they will talk. And that, my friend, is the price of greatness. So let them talk. Let them whisper. You just keep rising. Keep pursuing your calling. Keep fulfilling your purpose. And keep living the life that God has destined for you. Their whispers will fade, but your legacy will remain. Your destiny is in your hands, not in the hands of others. When people speak behind your back, they do so from a place of misunderstanding or fear. But that has nothing to do with where you're going. You see, too many times we allow the opinions of others to shape our actions, our decisions, and even our self-worth. But the truth is, their words cannot define the path you are walking. Your future, your purpose, and your success have already been set in motion by God, and no one has the power to change that. What others say behind your back, no matter how hurtful or damaging it may seem, cannot alter the direction of your life unless you give it permission. You have been given the gift of choice, the ability to decide where you will go and how you will respond to life's challenges. And when you understand that your destiny is in your hands, you will stop letting the criticism of others cause you to second guess yourself. You will stop allowing their negativity to control your mood, your decisions, or your confidence. Your destiny is not subject to the fleeting judgments of people who don't see the bigger picture, who don't understand the fullness of your potential. It's easy to get distracted when others question your abilities or talk about you in ways that don't align with who you are. But you must remember this: they cannot see the vision that God has placed in your heart. They don't know the dreams that you are carrying, the sacrifices you've made, or the battles you fought. Only you know the price you've paid to get to where you are and to continue moving forward. So as you encounter the whispers and the negative words, hold your head high. Don't allow their words to divert you from the purpose that has been placed within you. Keep moving forward, because your destiny is not tied to their approval or their criticisms. It is yours alone to fulfill. When people speak about you behind your back, it often has more to do with them than with you. Their words are a reflection of their own insecurities, fears, and limitations. You see, most people only speak negatively about others when they feel threatened, misunderstood, or inadequate. It's not about you, it's about what's happening inside of them. When someone criticizes you, they are revealing more about their own struggles than your character or your journey. People who are confident in their own lives don't need to tear others down to feel better about themselves. It's only those who are wrestling with their own feelings of insecurity, jealousy, or self-doubt who will take time to speak ill of others when they're not around. It's a projection of their own fears, their own lack of understanding, and their own internal battles. In many ways, when people gossip or talk behind your back, they are projecting their own sense of inadequacy onto you. They are uncomfortable with what you are doing because it reminds them of what they haven't yet been able to do for themselves. So when someone talks about you in a negative way, don't take it personally. Their words are not a reflection of your worth or your potential. They're a reflection of their own internal struggles. If they truly understood your journey, they would see the dedication, the sacrifices, and the strength it takes to pursue a vision in this world. Instead, they only see what they want to see, and they speak from a place of not fully understanding who you are, what you're going through, or where you're headed. This is why it's so important not to internalize the words of others. They speak out of their own limitations, projecting their fears onto you because they see you doing things they may not have the courage to do themselves. But your courage, your faith, and your resilience have nothing to do with them. It's your journey, and it's your responsibility to stay focused on your path. When people talk behind your back, remember that it's not about you, it's about them and the discomfort they feel seeing someone else move forward. So rise above it, keep pressing on. Their insecurities are not your problem, your destiny is. The higher you rise, the louder the whispers will become. It's a simple fact of life that the more you progress, the more attention you attract, and not all attention is positive. As you pursue your dreams and step into your purpose, people will start to notice. And for some, it will be difficult to see someone else advancing. The higher you go, the more likely it is that those who are still stuck in their own insecurities will begin to talk. But let me tell you something, this is not something to fear. This is something to celebrate. Criticism often comes when you're doing something right, when you're on the verge of something great. It's when you begin to break through barriers that have held you back, when you're stepping into new levels of success or personal growth, that you will encounter opposition. People who are too afraid to make the same bold moves will criticize you, not because they believe in your failure, but because they are threatened by your progress. Your success reminds them of what they have yet to accomplish, or it forces them to confront their own stagnation. And this discomfort manifests as negative talk behind your back. But the louder the whispers, the clearer the indication that you're making an impact. If you were irrelevant, if you were stuck in the same place as everyone else, no one would be talking about you. It's your growth, your willingness to step out and challenge the status quo that triggers the conversations. So don't be discouraged when people begin to whisper. Instead, see it as a sign that you are rising, that you are becoming someone who matters. Those who are content with staying in the same place will always try to pull you down, but don't let them. Your success forces others to take a good hard look at their own lives. They have no choice but to confront their own inaction when they see you pushing forward. And that's why the whispers will grow louder. They're uncomfortable with the fact that you're changing, evolving, and succeeding. And the more they talk, the more they reveal just how much of an impact you're making. You are not invisible. You are not unnoticed. And every whisper, every negative comment is a testament to the fact that you're doing something right. So when you hear the whispers, let it fuel you. Let it remind you that you're on the path to something bigger. Keep moving forward, because the more they talk, the closer you are to reaching the heights of your potential. It's a sign that your presence, your purpose, and your impact are undeniable. When people talk behind your back, it's not necessarily a reflection of your shortcomings or failures, but rather a confirmation that you are on the right path. This is something many don't fully realize. The more people talk about you in your absence, the more you can be certain that you are making waves. You are challenging the norms. You are moving in a direction that others either don't understand or aren't brave enough to follow. And that's the key. People talk about what they don't understand, especially when they see something in you that they can't quite grasp or replicate. When they speak about you behind your back, it's not an attack. It's a sign that you are doing something noteworthy. If you were insignificant, if you were blending in with the crowd, there would be nothing to talk about. People don't waste their time discussing things that don't matter. But when they notice that you are stepping into your greatness, when you begin to do things that stand out, you become a topic of conversation. And that's okay. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. You are breaking out of the ordinary, breaking through boundaries that have held so many people captive, and it's unsettling to those who are still trapped in the familiar. It's easy to think that when people talk behind your back, they are somehow diminishing your worth or your progress. But the truth is, their talk is simply a reflection of their own discomfort with what you are doing. You are creating a ripple in their reality, forcing them to see you in a light they never considered before. They may not understand why you're doing what you're doing, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. In fact, it's often the things that others don't understand that turn out to be the most transformative, the most powerful, and the most impactful. You see, when you're making real progress, when you're moving forward with purpose and intention, others notice even if they don't want to acknowledge it. They start talking about you because deep down they know that what you're doing is important. They can't help but discuss it, even if it's in a negative way. And that's not something to be discouraged by, that's something to embrace. The more they talk, the more they reveal that you are breaking new ground, that you are doing something remarkable, and that you are stepping into your destiny in a way that others can't help but notice. So when you hear the chatter, when you know they are talking behind your back, take it as a sign that you are doing something right. It's a sign that your actions are creating the kind of impact that forces others to stop and pay attention. And no matter what they say, you know that you are on the path to something greater, and nothing can take that away from you. Keep moving forward, because the more they talk, the more you are confirming that you are doing what you were born to do. Your worth is not defined by the opinions of others. Far too many people allow the judgment of others to dictate how they see themselves. But the truth is, the value of who you are is not measured by the criticisms or praise of those around you. Your worth is established by your purpose, by the vision that God has placed within you, and by the unique qualities that only you possess. No one has the right to diminish your significance, especially not based on their own limited understanding of who you are or what you're capable of. People will always have opinions. Some will be supportive and others will be critical, but you cannot allow these opinions to dictate the direction of your life. If you let every word spoken behind your back sway you, you'll be constantly moving with the wind, unsure of where you're going or who you truly are. But you have to remember that those opinions, those judgments have no true bearing on your life's course. They are simply noise. What truly matters is what you believe about yourself, what you know you're capable of, and the vision that God has put in your heart. When you know your worth, no criticism can shake you. You are not defined by someone else's limitations or by their failure to understand your journey. People may not always understand why you do what you do, but that doesn't diminish the value of your actions. You may be misunderstood, you may be criticized, but that does not change the fact that you are valuable. Your worth is inherent. It's not tied to the fleeting opinions of others. The moment you begin to realize that your value comes from within and is rooted in your purpose, you'll stop seeking validation from external sources. Don't let people's words strip you of the confidence you should have in who you are. Whether they are gossiping or criticizing, it doesn't matter. They can only speak from their own perspective, from what they understand, and the understanding is limited. They are not privy to the entirety of your journey, the obstacles you've overcome, or the dreams you're working to manifest. Only you know the full story. So hold on tightly to your sense of worth. Don't allow anyone's negative talk to penetrate your soul and make you doubt your purpose. Your worth is unshakable, and no one can take that away from you, not even with the harshest of words. Your value was determined before anyone spoke about you, and it will remain intact regardless of what anyone says behind your back. You will never be able to please everyone, and that's a lesson you must embrace. When you step out to pursue your dreams, to break barriers, and to follow the unique path that has been laid out for you, there will always be those who criticize, doubt, and speak against you. It's inevitable. Not everyone will understand or agree with your vision, and not everyone will support you. But that's okay. In fact, it's necessary. You are not here to seek approval from the masses. You are here to fulfill a purpose, a divine calling that is uniquely yours. The moment you start living for the approval of others is the moment you lose your authenticity. You start compromising your values, your integrity, and your vision just to fit into a mold that doesn't serve you. But God did not create you to be a copy of someone else. He created you to be you. And when you are truly walking in your purpose, there will always be people who feel uncomfortable because they don't understand the journey you are on or the way you are going about it. They may feel threatened, they may feel jealous, or they may simply not know how to support you because they are too busy comparing their own lives to yours. It's important to recognize that their disapproval or criticism doesn't reflect the validity of your calling. The fact that they are not in agreement with your path does not make your journey less significant. There will always be those who choose to stay in their comfort zone, and when you choose to step out, it will make them uneasy. They will criticize because they are afraid to take the same bold steps you're taking. And when you embrace this truth, you will stop trying to win the approval of others. You will stop trying to explain yourself to those who are never going to understand. When you realize that it's impossible to please everyone, you can let go of the need for validation and begin to focus on what truly matters: your purpose, your faith, and your progress. God has equipped you with everything you need to fulfill your purpose, and the approval of others is not part of the equation. As you move forward, remember that not everyone will be cheering you on, and that's okay. Their opinion of you does not define your worth, and their approval is not a requirement for your success. In fact, the more you move in the direction of your calling, the more you will come to understand that pleasing everyone is not only impossible, but it's also unnecessary. What truly matters is that you are living in alignment with God's plan for your life. So stop wasting energy trying to get everyone on your side. When you stop seeking validation, you free yourself to be who you were always meant to be, and that is a power no one can take away from you. When people talk behind your back, they may attempt to distort the truth, but remember, no one can truly define your story except for you. What others say about you is often just a reflection of their own biases, misconceptions, or limited perspectives. They don't know the full scope of your journey. They don't understand the challenges you faced, the sacrifices you've made, or the strength it has taken to get to where you are. They speak from the vantage point of their own understanding, which may be far removed from the reality of your experiences. And in their limited view, they may try to twist or misinterpret what you're doing, thinking they know you better than you know yourself. This is why it's important to understand that the noise around you is just that noise. It is not the truth of who you are or what you're capable of. The truth is far deeper, far richer, and far more powerful than what anyone else can say. The truth is that you are walking in your purpose, guided by your faith, and progressing in a way that aligns with your true self. The truth is that you are growing, evolving, and becoming who you were always meant to be. And no matter what others may say behind your back, this truth cannot be distorted. People can only see the surface of your life. They don't know the battles you fought in private, the prayers you've whispered in the quiet moments of uncertainty, or the vision you've been given that drives every step you take. And because they don't know these intimate details, they may misjudge your actions. They may not understand why you do the things you do, but that's not for them to determine. You are not living for their approval or their understanding. You are living for the fulfillment of a higher purpose that only you and God can truly comprehend. When others try to distort your story, they often do so because they are threatened by the truth of who you are becoming. They may not be able to handle your success, your growth, or the change that you're bringing into your life. Their distortion of your story is their way of coping with the discomfort they feel in their own lives. And that discomfort is often magnified when they see someone else making strides toward greatness. But their distortion doesn't change your narrative. It doesn't alter the truth of who you are or the impact you are destined to have. You are the only one who can tell your story. You are the one who knows the struggles you face, the lessons you've learned, and the purpose you've been given. When people talk behind your back and try to twist your story, remind yourself that their words do not define you. You are the author of your own narrative, and no one else has the power to change the direction of your journey. Continue to move forward with confidence, knowing that your story is yours alone, and it is one of strength, resilience, and purpose that no one can take from you. When people talk behind your back, it often reveals more about them than it does about you. It is easy to get caught up in the hurt and frustration of being misrepresented or misunderstood. But the reality is that what others say about you often reflects their own insecurities, jealousy, or lack of understanding. Instead of allowing their words to wound you, take a moment to look deeper at the source. When people criticize or gossip about you, they are revealing their own discomfort with your growth, your journey, or your successes. Their focus on you is not a reflection of your actions, but rather a projection of their own limitations and fears. Those who talk about others behind their back often do so because they are struggling with something within themselves. They may feel inadequate, they may fear change, or they may simply be envious of the confidence and strength you exude. But instead of seeing these as attacks, see them as signals of the inner turmoil they are facing. They are so consumed with their own insecurities that they try to divert attention from their own issues by talking about someone else. This is their way of coping with the discomfort in their own lives. It's important to realize that the criticisms you receive from others are not always about you. In fact, many times they are more about the person doing the talking than they are about your character, your actions, or your intentions. When you rise above their negativity and continue to stay focused on your purpose, you show them that their words have no power over you. The more they speak, the clearer it becomes that their words are just a reflection of their inner struggles. It's not about you at all. It's about their inability to accept the changes they see in you and their discomfort with the progress you are making. People who talk behind your back may do so because they are simply afraid to confront their own issues. When they see someone pushing boundaries, making strides, or becoming something greater than they imagine, they often feel threatened. Instead of dealing with their own insecurities or working toward their own goals, they attempt to diminish someone else's journey in an effort to make themselves feel better. But this only reveals their lack of self-confidence, not your worth or your value. By recognizing that their words reflect their own inner struggles, you free yourself from the need to defend your actions, explain your journey, or seek their approval. You no longer feel the need to convince them of your worth because you understand that their criticisms are not personal. They are simply a projection of their own unhealed wounds. In the end, their words can't touch you unless you allow them to. And when you don't allow their negativity to take root in your life, you rise above their attempts to pull you down. You are not defined by their insecurities. You are defined by your strength, your resilience, and your commitment to your purpose. Keep moving forward and let their talk be a reminder that your progress is causing ripples in their world, challenging them in ways they may not yet be ready to confront. When people talk behind your back, it often serves as a powerful reminder that you are moving forward in ways they cannot or will not understand. Their words can feel like an attack, a setback, or a sign that you're being targeted. But in reality, their talk is a sign that you are making an impact. When people gossip, criticize, or speculate about you, it means that you are stirring something within them. You're forcing them to confront their own shortcomings, their own fears, or the uncomfortable truth that they have not made the same progress you have. And instead of looking inward and confronting those feelings, they project their insecurities onto you. The more you grow, the more you will encounter resistance from those who are unwilling to step out of their own comfort zones. These individuals may not even consciously realize it, but when you start achieving things they've only dreamed of, or when you begin breaking free from the limitations they have accepted, it shakes their perception of what's possible. They begin to see you as a reflection of what they could have done but didn't, or what they might never do because they are too afraid to take the risks you've taken. This resistance manifests as gossip, criticism, or attempts to diminish your accomplishments. But you must recognize that this is a reflection of their internal struggles, not your actual progress. They are uncomfortable with the changes they see in you because they are too focused on their own limitations. And rather than confront their own fears or take action to create their own success, they turn to talk about you as a way to deflect from their own discomfort. They may say things behind your back to try to make themselves feel better, to justify their own stagnation, or to ease their own regret. But the truth is, none of this affects your journey. You have to remember that as you step into your greatness, as you pursue your calling with passion and commitment, there will always be people who are too afraid to follow the same path. They may not understand your choices, your sacrifices, or the risks you've taken, but that doesn't make your journey any less important. The more successful you become, the more likely it is that others will attempt to label you, categorize you, or make assumptions about your motivations. But none of these external judgments can hold you back unless you allow them to. What matters is that you are moving in the direction of your purpose. What matters is that you are living authentically in alignment with the vision that has been given to you. So when people talk behind your back, see it as a confirmation that you are on the right path. Their words are just a distraction, a diversion meant to pull your focus away from what you are meant to do. But you are stronger than that. You have a purpose, and no amount of negative talk can change the course you've set. Let their words fuel your determination to keep going, to push even harder, to rise above the noise and continue to achieve what you were always destined to do. Their talk behind your back isn't a reflection of you, it's a reflection of their inability to grasp the magnitude of your journey. And when you keep pressing forward, you show them that nothing will stop you from fulfilling your destiny. When people talk behind your back, one of the most powerful things you can do is use their words as a tool for your growth. Every time someone tries to undermine your journey, criticize your success, or spread negativity about your path, see it as an opportunity to reflect, refine, and evolve. While it may sting in the moment, these criticisms can actually help you become stronger, more resilient, and more focused on your mission. When people talk about you in ways that aren't true, or when they try to bring you down, it reveals the strength of your progress. It shows that you are moving forward, you are different, and you are shaking up the environment around you. Every challenge, every negative word, and every moment of gossip can fuel your determination to stay true to your purpose. It's important to understand that their words have no power unless you give them power. You must rise above their limitations and focus on your own journey. In fact, their attempts to tear you down can serve as a reminder of your unique strength. They can help you focus more clearly on why you're doing what you're doing and why you're willing to endure the challenges that come with pursuing your dreams. Use this moment to remind yourself that growth is not easy, and the higher you rise, the more resistance you will encounter. You will find that the closer you get to your goals, the more voices there will be both within and outside of you attempting to tell you that you cannot make it, that you won't succeed, or that you're doing it all wrong. But these words of doubt are nothing but distractions. They are reminders that you are making a difference, that you are on a path that is unique to you, and that you are growing beyond the limitations of those who seek to bring you down. The way people talk about you when you're not around is not a reflection of your truth. It's a reflection of their own fears and insecurities. The more they speak, the clearer it becomes that they are uncomfortable with the changes they see in you. They might be threatened by your success, your confidence, your growth, or the way you challenge the status quo. But instead of being discouraged by their words, use them as fuel to accelerate your growth. Let their negativity be a reminder of why you must keep going, why you must rise above, and why you must continue to chase the vision that has been placed in your heart. When you stay focused on your purpose, and when you realize that their words hold no weight in comparison to the power of your purpose, you begin to see these attacks as mere noise. And as you keep pushing forward, you begin to notice that the closer you get to your breakthrough, the quieter the critics become. The louder their voices are in the beginning is often a sign that you are doing something right, that you are moving in the direction of your true purpose, and that they are simply reacting to your progress. You must take every negative comment, every attempt to undermine you, and turn it into a stepping stone for your growth. Let it refine your character. Let it strengthen your resolve. Let it deepen your commitment to the mission that has been laid before you. The more they talk, the more you grow, the more you become untouchable in the pursuit of your purpose. Their words will never have the power to stop you unless you allow them to. And as you rise, you will inspire others to do the same, to walk their own path with confidence, knowing that no one else's opinions or criticisms can define their worth or their potential. Keep moving forward. Let their talk remind you of your mission, and let it drive you further into your greatness. In the end, the words people speak behind your back are not a reflection of your worth or your journey. They are merely a projection of their own fears, insecurities, and limitations. You have the power to rise above their negativity and remain focused on your purpose. Each criticism, each whisper of doubt only serves to strengthen your resolve and sharpen your focus on the path that you are destined to walk. As you continue to grow, you will encounter resistance, but remember, this is not a sign of failure. It's a confirmation that you are making an impact. Let their words be a reminder that you are different, that you are evolving, and that your progress is something others may struggle to understand. But in your rise, you are not only becoming the person you were meant to be, you are also inspiring others to break free from their own limitations. So keep moving forward, keep believing in your purpose, and let the noise around you fade into silence. You are unstoppable. Your purpose is greater than their words. And with every step you take, you prove that nothing can hold you back. In life, there will come moments when people test your patience, push your boundaries, and cross lines that should never be crossed. It's in these moments that you have a choice. Respond in anger or stay quiet. You see, silence is not weakness, it's strength. It takes far more power to remain composed than to react impulsively. When someone disrespects you, they are often seeking a reaction. They want to see you lose your calm, to break your spirit, to show them that they have the power to control your emotions. But when you stay silent, you take away that power from them. You reclaim control over yourself. Now, let me remind you that staying quiet doesn't mean you're a doormat, nor does it mean you are accepting the disrespect. No, it means you understand that you are bigger than that moment, that you are above the small things people try to use to bring you down. It means you recognize that your peace and dignity are worth more than any argument or petty conflict. Words spoken in anger often lead to destruction, but silence preserves the peace and allows wisdom to prevail. There is a deeper truth here. The moment you react, you engage with the energy of disrespect. When you stay quiet, you elevate yourself above the situation. You create space for your character to shine. In silence, you allow time to pass, and you give your mind the space to gain perspective. In the stillness, clarity will rise. The one who remains silent is the one who is truly in control of their emotions and their future. Let the foolish speak, let the ignorant mock, let the disrespectful try to provoke. Your silence will teach them a lesson they will never forget. You show them that you are not defined by their words or actions. Your silence is a reflection of your strength, your maturity, and your understanding that not every battle is worth fighting. The greatest warriors know that silence is often their most powerful weapon. So when you are faced with disrespect, remember, your response reveals who you are. Choose peace, choose quiet, and watch how your calmness transforms the situation and even the hearts of those who tried to disturb your peace. In the end, it is not the noise around you that matters. It is the strength within you that will always define your journey. In life, there will come moments when people challenge us, when their words or actions are designed to provoke us, to test our patience, and to push us beyond our limits. In these instances, you are faced with a powerful decision. How will you respond? Will you allow the disrespect to trigger an emotional outburst, to lose your temper and give them exactly what they want? Or will you choose to remain silent and maintain control over your emotion? This choice is yours. And the beauty lies in the fact that it is within your power to decide how to handle the situation. When someone disrespects you, it is often because they want to see a reaction. They expect you to lash out, to engage in the conflict, to rise to the challenge of their negativity. In these moments, if you respond impulsively, you are allowing them to dictate the terms of your interaction. You are giving them the power to control your emotional state, and that can have a long-lasting impact on your peace. But when you make the conscious decision to remain silent, you are exercising the highest form of self-discipline. You are no longer letting others control how you feel, think, or act. Instead, you take the reins of your own emotional state, and in doing so, you free yourself from being a victim of disrespect. The real power is not in reacting in the heat of the moment, but in choosing to rise above. Responding with anger or frustration only perpetuates the negativity. It keeps the cycle going. And in the end, both you and the person who disrespected you are left with unresolved tension. But by staying quiet, you break that cycle. You refuse to engage in the drama, and instead, You send a message to the person who disrespected you. You are bigger than this. You will not allow their words or actions to drag you into their world of chaos. You rise above it, standing firm in your peace, because you know that your dignity is not something that can be taken from you so easily. Choosing silence in the face of disrespect is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to your strength and maturity. It shows that you understand the true power of self-control and that you are no longer governed by emotions that arise from external circumstances. When you stay quiet, you reclaim your power, and that choice becomes an act of self-respect. It's a reminder to yourself that you are not defined by what others say or do to you, but by how you respond. And in those moments of silence, you find the strength to preserve your peace and your dignity. Silence is often misunderstood. In a world that thrives on instant reactions and constant noise, staying quiet can seem like an act of passivity, a sign of weakness. But in truth, silence is one of the most powerful tools you have in your arsenal. When you remain silent, you are not surrendering or showing submission to the disrespect that's being aimed at you. No, you are showing that you are stronger than the situation, stronger than the words that were meant to hurt you, and stronger than the urge to retaliate. It takes a great deal of inner strength to resist the temptation to react immediately when someone disrespects you. That is what makes silence such a powerful response. In those moments when you feel your blood begin to boil, when your mind races with all the things you could say in retaliation, it takes real strength to pause, to breathe, and to choose not to give in to that emotional outburst. Reacting in anger might feel like the natural thing to do. It might even feel like you're defending yourself, protecting your honor, and asserting your right. But in reality, it's the impulsive reaction that shows a lack of control. It's the quiet that demonstrates true power. When you choose silence, you show that you are in command of yourself. You are not governed by the desire for approval, the need to prove a point, or the urge to win an argument. You are in complete control of your emotions. In silence, you hold your ground in a way that words often cannot. There's a depth to quietness that communicates far more than words ever could. The person who disrespects you may be expecting a confrontation, an exchange that feeds into their need for drama or validation. But when you remain silent, you deny them that satisfaction. You shift the power dynamic in your favor. Your silence speaks volumes. It speaks of your strength, your wisdom, and your ability to rise above the noise. In a way, silence is a reflection of your inner peace. It shows that you are not disturbed by the petty actions of others because you understand your value. You know that your worth is not defined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to treat yourself and the standards you set for your own behavior. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you are choosing peace over conflict, calm over chaos, and control over emotional turmoil. You become the architect of your own emotional world, unaffected by the storms others may try to bring into your life. The silence is not the absence of power. It is the presence of power in its most controlled and intentional form. It is the wisdom to know that not every battle is worth fighting, and that not every comment deserves a response. It is the recognition that some things, like the hurtful words of others, are better left unchallenged. Because responding in kind will only lower you to their level. By remaining silent, you maintain your dignity and allow yourself to rise above their attempts to draw you into their negativity. This quiet strength is a powerful form of self-respect and a silent declaration that you are not defined by the actions of others. When someone disrespects you, they are often not just attacking you. They are testing you. They are looking for a reaction, hoping that you will respond in a way that reveals vulnerability, anger, or frustration. This is why it's so important to understand that disrespect is not just about what they say or do. They want to see if you rise to the occasion, if you react emotionally, if you give them the satisfaction of seeing you lose your cool. It's not always about what's being said, but about what they're hoping to extract from you in that moment. The disrespect, in essence, becomes a trap, an opportunity for them to control the interaction by pulling you into their chaotic energy. When you respond, you engage with that energy. You allow them to control the situation, to dictate the direction of the conversation, and ultimately to dictate how you feel. Every word you speak in anger or frustration feeds into the cycle, and you become entangled in their game. They might not even be consciously aware of this, but they are looking for that moment when you lose control and give them power over your emotions. This is why silence is so important. By not responding, you take away their ability to control your emotional state. You refuse to participate in their drama, and by doing so, you regain control over yourself. In the moment of disrespect, if you engage and allow your emotions to guide your response, you lose the opportunity to dictate the terms of the situation. Instead of focusing on your own dignity and peace, you become reactive, responding to their negativity with more negativity. It's like being swept away by a current you don't want to be in. But when you remain silent, you create a space between what's happening and how you choose to react. You choose to not let their words, their actions, or their disrespect dictate your emotional state. You create your own reality in that moment, and that is powerful. Choosing not to react means you are not a slave to external circumstances. You are not governed by how others treat you or the disrespect they throw your way. Your response is rooted in a higher place, one that is based on self-control, wisdom, and emotional maturity. You are no longer letting other people's behavior define who you are or how you feel. You are not letting their actions pull you into their negative energy. By staying quiet, you effectively break the cycle and refuse to let their disrespect control you. You make a choice not to be part of the negative exchange, and in doing so, you remain in control of your own emotional and mental state. In these moments, your silence becomes a shield, a powerful reminder that you are not defined by the behavior of others. You refuse to allow their negativity to disturb your peace, and by doing so, you rise above the situation. When you stay silent, you disengage from the emotional trap they're trying to set for you. Instead, you choose to preserve your peace and protect your emotional well-being. And that in itself is a victory. When you choose to remain silent in the face of disrespect, you are not just withholding words, you are reclaiming power over yourself. Disrespect in its many forms can make you feel small, insignificant, or unworthy. It can stir up emotions, push you into a defensive posture, and make you feel compelled to fight back. But by staying quiet, you take away the power that the disrespectful person hopes to gain from you. They may think that their words or actions have the ability to provoke a reaction, to push you into a place of anger, frustration, or humiliation. But when you stay silent, you effectively rob them of that opportunity. In that silence, you are in control. It's easy to fall into the trap of reacting impulsively. It's natural to want to defend yourself, to stand up for your rights, and to prove that you won't be pushed around. But in these moments, it's important to recognize that the real power lies not in responding, but in choosing not to engage. When you remain silent, you are making a statement without saying a word. You are sending a message that you will not let their behavior determine your emotional state, that you will not let their disrespect undermine your sense of self-worth. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, you choose to take control of the situation by refusing to give them the reaction they want. Staying silent in the face of disrespect also allows you to step outside of the immediate situation and gain perspective. When you react in the heat of the moment, your emotions are in charge, and you might say or do something you regret. But when you take a step back and choose to remain quiet, You create a space between the stimulus and your reaction. This space allows you to pause, reflect, and think about how you want to respond, if at all. By doing so, you avoid the impulsive response that would only perpetuate the negativity and instead allow yourself to act with wisdom, grace, and control. In this way, silence is an act of self-preservation. It's a powerful reminder that you are in charge of your own emotional world. No one has the right to dictate how you feel, especially when their actions are meant to bring you down. By staying silent, you take back control of the situation and choose to protect your peace, your dignity, and your emotional well-being. You are in command, and by maintaining your silence, you show that you are above the negativity and drama that others may try to pull you into. You don't need to react to be heard. Your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. When you choose to remain silent after being disrespected, you not only protect yourself, but also send a powerful message to the person who has disrespected you. In the world we live in, many people are accustomed to their words and actions provoking a reaction. They are used to engaging with others in a way that elicits emotional responses because reactions often feed their ego or provide them with a sense of control. When you refuse to engage, however, you break that cycle. And in doing so, you convey that their actions hold no sway over you. You demonstrate that you are not subject to their manipulation, that you are not easily rattled by their behavior, and that their attempts to provoke you are futile. This response is often misunderstood by the person who is trying to disrespect you. They may expect you to become defensive, to explain yourself, or to argue back. When they don't get the reaction they anticipate, they may be left wondering why you haven't responded. In their eyes, your silence becomes something that is hard to understand. It forces them to face the fact that you are not reacting in the way they are accustomed to, and this often leaves them uncomfortable. Your silence creates a sense of mystery around your behavior, and this mystery can be incredibly powerful. It communicates to them that you are not interested in getting caught up in their petty attempts at controlling you or pulling you into their negativity. But the message goes even deeper than just the interaction itself. When you remain silent, you also reinforce your own self-worth. You show that you value yourself enough to not let anyone else's words or actions define who you are or how you feel. You refuse to engage in a battle that would only serve to diminish your peace. You understand that disrespect is often a reflection of the person delivering it, not of you. And by staying silent, you reinforce the idea that their behavior is beneath you and that you are above the need for conflict. The silence speaks volumes about your maturity, your self-control, and your refusal to let external negativity affect your internal state. Furthermore, by remaining silent, you avoid being drawn into a cycle of ongoing conflict. When you react to disrespect, it often escalates the situation. The disrespectful person may feel emboldened to continue their actions, expecting more reactions from you. This creates a toxic cycle that both parties are caught in, and in the end, neither side benefits. But silence disrupts this cycle. By not responding, you put an end to the drama. You refuse to be part of the negative exchange. And in doing so, you regain control of the interaction. This allows you to preserve your emotional energy and protect your mental and spiritual well-being. Staying quiet also demonstrates wisdom. It shows that you are aware that not every battle is worth fighting. Many times when people disrespect you, they do so out of ignorance, jealousy, or insecurity. Engaging with them only drags you down to their level. By staying silent, you choose to preserve your energy for the things that truly matter, and you give yourself the opportunity to respond only when it is constructive or necessary. You understand that some things are better left unsaid, that silence can be a response in and of itself, and that by not engaging, you hold the power to move forward without being weighed down by negativity. Your silence is not passive, it is purposeful. It speaks to your strength, your self-respect, and your wisdom in choosing to rise above the noise. It sends a clear message to those around you that you will not be controlled, manipulated, or dragged into unnecessary conflict. You have a higher purpose, and nothing, not even the disrespect of others, can shake your resolve. The message you send is not only to the person who disrespected you, but also to yourself, affirming that you are worthy of peace, that you are above unnecessary conflict, and that your energy is too valuable to waste on people who seek to diminish. Remaining silent in the face of disrespect is also an act of profound emotional intelligence. It is easy to become reactive when someone disrespects us. The natural instinct is to defend ourselves, to argue back, or to make the person who has wronged us understand their mistake. However, emotional intelligence teaches us that the most powerful and mature response is not always the loudest or the most immediate one. In fact, sometimes the best way to respond is to say nothing at all. By staying silent, you choose to protect your emotional state rather than letting another person dictate how you feel. You understand that reacting impulsively can often make things worse, and that in some situations, silence becomes a way of managing your emotions more effectively than any verbal confrontation could. In moments of disrespect, your emotions may surge with anger, frustration, or a sense of injustice. These emotions are valid and natural responses to being hurt, but emotional intelligence recognizes that acting on them immediately can lead to regret. When you speak out of anger or pain, your words often carry the weight of those emotions, and the message may not come across as intended. Worse, your words may escalate the situation, leading to a confrontation that only fuels the negativity. Silence allows you the time and space to process your emotions, to reflect on what has just happened, and to decide whether or not the situation truly requires a response. It's about understanding that not every disrespectful act demands an immediate reaction, and that some things are best left unspoken. Emotional intelligence also involves knowing the value of boundaries. Staying silent in the face of disrespect is a way of setting a boundary with a person who has wronged you. It communicates that you will not tolerate being disrespected, but you also won't allow yourself to be dragged into a toxic exchange. You are not just protecting your emotions in the moment, but you are also sending the message that your peace and emotional well-being are non-negotiable. You are demonstrating that you value yourself enough not to let others dictate your emotional state, and you are not afraid to assert that boundary with your silence. Furthermore, emotional intelligence teaches us that silence can often convey more wisdom and strength than words ever could. When you respond to disrespect with silence, you show that you are in control of your emotions and that you are not going to let someone else's negativity dictate how you feel or act. Silence in the face of disrespect is a powerful reminder that you do not need to react in kind to gain respect or assert your worth. Your dignity is not dependent on defending yourself with words or proving something to others. Your silence speaks volumes about your confidence, your self-control, and your understanding of what truly matters. Moreover, emotional intelligence allows you to recognize that your response or lack of response will impact the situation long after it has occurred. By staying silent, you disarm the person who intended to provoke a reaction. They may not know how to handle your silence because it removes the fuel they were hoping for. It leaves them with nothing to react to, nothing to manipulate or use against you. Your silence, therefore, becomes a tool for maintaining your peace and protecting your energy. In the long term, they are left with the uncomfortable realization that their attempt to draw you into conflict has failed. In many ways, silence in the face of disrespect is an act of emotional mastery. It requires the strength to resist the urge to lash out, the wisdom to recognize when silence is more powerful than words, and the emotional intelligence to manage your feelings in a way that preserves your dignity and your peace. By choosing silence, you assert control over your emotional landscape. And in doing so, you rise above the situation. You prove to yourself and to others that you are not a slave to your emotions or to the behavior of those around you. Instead, you stand firm in your ability to navigate challenges with grace and wisdom. Choosing to remain silent after experiencing disrespect is a reflection of the deepest form of personal strength and maturity. In our society, there is a constant pressure to defend oneself, to retaliate when we are wronged, and to make sure that others understand our point of view. However, it takes true strength to not immediately respond to disrespect with words or actions. It takes courage to maintain composure, to resist the urge to fight back, and instead choose to stay quiet. This decision is not born out of weakness or fear. Rather, it is the conscious choice of someone who understands their own worth and recognizes that they do not need to lower themselves to the level of someone who disrespects them. This strength doesn't come from a desire to suppress emotions or pretend that the disrespect didn't hurt. On the contrary, it acknowledges that the pain exists, but chooses not to let it dictate the response. It recognizes that responding in kind only prolongs the negativity, and that true power lies in choosing to rise above the situation. When you remain silent, you are actively demonstrating that you are the one in control, that you can face disrespect without losing your sense of dignity or your emotional balance. It is a deliberate act of strength that signals to both yourself and others that you will not allow external circumstances or the words of others to determine your emotional state or behavior. Moreover, staying silent in the face of disrespect allows you to hold on to your integrity. When you respond with anger or harsh words, you may feel a temporary sense of satisfaction or relief, but this does not change the fact that you have allowed someone else's actions to compromise your integrity. Your silence, however, is a demonstration of self-respect. It shows that you are not willing to engage in petty conflict or to degrade yourself by stooping to a level that is beneath you. Instead, you protect your sense of self, your values, and your principles by not allowing the disrespectful behavior to impact your character. In doing so, you maintain your inner peace and self-respect, which are much more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction that may come from an emotional outburst. Furthermore, when you choose silence, you are asserting that your time and energy are too valuable to be spent in pointless arguments or on people who do not deserve your attention. Disrespectful people often seek to get under your skin, to cause a reaction, because it gives them a sense of power or control. But by staying silent, you refuse to engage with that need. You show that your emotional energy is reserved for things that truly matter, things that will elevate your life and your purpose, not for conflicts that only serve to bring negativity and frustration. Your silence becomes an act of self-preservation. It is a clear boundary that you set with others, stating that your emotional energy is precious and it will not be wasted on those who do not value it. Choosing silence in the face of disrespect is also an affirmation of your emotional resilience. It acknowledges that while the disrespect may sting, it does not define you. You are able to withstand the sting without allowing it to penetrate your sense of self-worth. This resilience is not just about enduring, it's about growing through adversity. Every time you choose not to react to disrespect, you build emotional strength. You reinforce your ability to face challenges with grace and poise. And in doing so, you continue to grow into a stronger version of yourself. It is through these moments of choosing silence, even when it feels difficult, that you sharpen your emotional intelligence and grow more capable of navigating life's challenges without being derailed by the actions of others. Remaining silent when faced with disrespect is not only a method of protecting your peace, but also a form of empowerment that allows you to retain control over your life. In a world that often values loud, reactive responses, silence serves as a quiet yet profound act of rebellion against the urge to fall into chaos. It's easy to feel pressure to fight back or to justify yourself when others are trying to undermine you. The loudest voices, the most dramatic responses often seem to win in a world that loves spectacle. However, silence is an alternative power that allows you to sidestep the drama while still maintaining your position of strength. It is a refusal to participate in the negativity and a way of asserting that you have a greater purpose than engaging in petty disputes or falling victim to someone else's behavior. This quiet power manifests when you recognize that by responding, you are engaging in a cycle that ultimately serves the person disrespecting you more than it serves you. Disrespectful individuals often seek to provoke a response because their intention is to either deflate your sense of self-worth or to prove that they have power over you. They want to see you flustered, defensive, or angry. But when you choose silence, you not only deny them this satisfaction, but you also send a clear message that they have no control over your emotions or your actions. You are not subject to their whims or their negative energy. Instead, you become the one in control of the interaction, deciding what is worthy of your energy and what isn't. Your silence becomes a shield, protecting you from unnecessary emotional turmoil and maintaining your peace. Furthermore, silence allows you to preserve your mental and emotional clarity, especially in situations where responding may only escalate the issue. Sometimes the best way to understand the root of disrespect or to discern the character of someone who is being disrespectful is to observe them in silence. When we engage in conversations driven by emotion, it can be difficult to hear or see the deeper motives behind someone's actions. Silence gives you the space to reflect, to analyze the situation, and to process your thoughts before making any decision. Rather than reacting impulsively, silence allows you to respond from a place of wisdom, understanding, and foresight. It helps you gain the clarity needed to make better decisions, whether that's choosing to disengage entirely, setting firm boundaries, or knowing when to speak up at the right moment. In the long run, this silence is a form of personal growth. Every time you resist the urge to respond out of emotion, you are actively building resilience. You become more capable of dealing with adversity, not by reacting to it in the traditional sense, but by understanding that not every challenge requires a verbal response. Over time, this strengthens your character and sharpens your ability to stay calm in even the most trying of situations. Your silence allows you to remove yourself from unnecessary conflict, giving you the mental and emotional space to focus on what truly matters: your goals, your relationships, your personal growth. Moreover, when you remain silent, you allow the situation to unfold naturally. Often, those who disrespect others do so because they lack self-awareness or because they are projecting their own insecurities. By not reacting, you give them the space to either reflect on their behavior or expose themselves further. Your silence provides a safe distance from their negative energy, allowing you to observe their actions without being caught in the crossfire of their disrespect. In many cases, the disrespectful person may realize on their own that their behavior is inappropriate, or they may find themselves unable to continue the attack when they receive no reaction. This silence forces them to confront the reality that their disrespectful behavior has no power over you. This form of empowerment through silence becomes a powerful tool in creating emotional independence. When you allow your emotions to be dictated by the words or actions of others, you become reliant on them for your sense of self-worth or emotional stability. However, when you choose to remain silent, you take that power back. You are no longer dependent on external validation or reactions to define your emotional state. Your self-worth is anchored internally, and by exercising restraint, you protect the integrity of that self-worth. This is a crucial step toward emotional maturity, because it represents the understanding that no one outside of you has the authority to determine how you should feel or behave. The beauty of this silence lies in its ability to speak louder than words ever could. While the disrespectful person may attempt to diminish you with their words, your silence exudes strength, calm, and self-assurance. It is a refusal to participate in the toxic drama they seek to create. It is a statement that you are above their disrespect and that your peace is more important than any temporary satisfaction that may come from an argument or confrontation. In essence, silence serves as the most powerful form of resistance to those who seek to undermine you, and through it, you reclaim your personal power, your dignity, and your peace of mind. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you are practicing an extraordinary form of self-discipline. It is easy to react impulsively when someone hurts or insults you. The natural instinct is often to defend ourselves, to retaliate, to make sure the other person knows how much they've wronged us. But this impulse, though understandable, rarely serves us in the long term. In fact, it often results in regret, loss of dignity, and emotional exhaustion. Instead, the true power lies in being able to hold back, to choose restraint over reaction. This discipline is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that the disrespect doesn't hurt. Rather, it is about making a conscious choice to not let those feelings dictate your action. The beauty of this self-discipline is that it grants you the ability to remain emotionally detached from external provocations. You develop the ability to separate your internal world from the chaos that others may try to impose upon you. When someone disrespects you, it's an external event, an occurrence that you cannot always control. However, how you choose to respond is entirely within your control. When you practice silence, you are effectively taking back control of your emotional state. You refuse to let someone else dictate how you feel, what you say, or how you behave. In doing so, you assert your own power and begin to shape your life, not by the reactions of others, but by your own chosen responses. By choosing silence, you are also choosing peace. It is easy to get caught up in the cycle of arguing, defending, and justifying yourself, but this only keeps the negativity alive. The more we respond to disrespect with words or actions, the more energy we give to that negativity. It's like feeding a fire. It will continue to burn as long as we keep adding fuel to it. Silence, on the other hand, is the ultimate extinguisher. It disrupts the cycle, putting a stop to the escalation and preventing the situation from spiraling further into conflict. The person who is trying to provoke you is left with no audience for their words, no reaction to feed off of. The silence creates a void where the drama cannot thrive. It allows you to maintain your own inner calm, untouched by the external disturbances around you. Self-discipline also plays a role in how you manage your personal reputation. When we respond to disrespect, we risk lowering ourselves to the level of the person who disrespects us. We might engage in petty arguments or behave in ways that compromise our integrity. However, by staying silent, you preserve your dignity and your reputation. Others will take note of how you conduct yourself. You may not always be able to control how others treat you, but you can always control how you respond. When people see you remain composed in the face of disrespect, they witness a person of character, someone who is not easily swayed by external pressures. This silent strength speaks volumes about who you are and the standards to which you hold yourself. In fact, people often admire and respect those who can maintain their composure under pressure, as it is a rare quality in a world that often prioritizes quick, reactive responses. The discipline of silence also strengthens your emotional intelligence. It's easy to react with anger or frustration, but those emotions can cloud our judgment and impair our ability to think clearly. When you choose silence, you are creating space to think, to reflect, and to respond from a place of wisdom rather than emotion. This pause gives you the opportunity to consider what is at stake, whether responding would actually serve your best interest, and how you can move forward in a way that aligns with your values and goals. Silence is not just about withholding words. It is about giving yourself the time to choose the best course of action. It teaches you patience, self-awareness, and the ability to regulate your emotions, all of which are essential skills for navigating life's challenges with grace. Ultimately, silence is the act of exercising your will over your own emotions and reactions. It is a conscious, deliberate choice to remain in control rather than to succumb to the impulse of reacting. The more you practice this self-discipline, the easier it becomes to remain unshaken by the turbulence of others' words and actions. You begin to see that your peace, your dignity, and your emotional well-being are far more valuable than any argument, insult, or confrontation. This discipline is not just a temporary strategy for dealing with disrespect. It becomes a way of life. The more you embrace silence, the stronger your ability to protect your emotional peace and integrity becomes, allowing you to move through life with a calm, unshakable sense of self. Remaining silent in the face of disrespect also plays a profound role in your spiritual and personal growth. It's often said that the greatest battles are fought not in the external world, but within ourselves. When you choose to stay silent, you are engaging in an internal practice of strength, patience, and humility. You are exercising self-control, which is an essential characteristic of spiritual maturity. In many ways, silence is an act of surrender, not to the disrespectful person, but to a higher purpose, to a higher standard of living, and to a deeper sense of inner peace that transcends momentary conflicts. This moment of silence is an opportunity for you to align with your higher self, to rise above the situation, and to maintain a connection with your true values and principles. Through silence, you acknowledge that your peace is not negotiable. It is not dependent on the actions or opinions of others. It is not something that can be stolen or taken from you through someone else's disrespect. In choosing silence, you assert that your sense of self-worth and your emotional state are sovereign, belonging only to you and to the higher power you serve. This decision to remain quiet can be a reflection of your trust in something greater than yourself. Instead of engaging in a petty back and forth, you put your trust in the belief that God, the universe, or your higher power sees and knows the truth of the situation. You know that no one can diminish you unless you allow them to, and by remaining silent, you rise above the temptation to seek validation or vindication in a manner that would lower your spirit. In many ways, your silence becomes an act of faith, a declaration that you trust that whatever the outcome of the situation, you are protected and guided by a higher force. Additionally, silence is a demonstration of grace and humility. It is easy to fall into the trap of reacting with pride or defensiveness when disrespected. We want to prove our worth, to demonstrate that we are not to be treated in such a way. Yet, by responding in this manner, we often escalate the situation, causing further harm to ourselves and the relationship. In contrast, choosing silence allows us to exercise humility. It shows that we don't need to constantly assert our worth through words or arguments. Our value is inherent and unshakable. The truly humble person doesn't feel the need to prove themselves to others because they know who they are and they are not defined by others' opinions or behaviors. By staying quiet, we are humbling ourselves in the face of disrespect, and in doing so, we allow the situation to pass without feeding into the ego's desire to be right or to have the last word. Silence also provides a moment for introspection, which is essential for personal and spiritual growth. When we're hurt or disrespected, it's easy to be consumed by the need to react or to defend ourselves. But silence forces us to look inward instead. It gives us the time and space to ask ourselves questions like, why am I so hurt by this person's words? What do I need to learn from this? What is this situation revealing about me? How can I grow from this experience? Silence provides a sanctuary of stillness where we can process our emotions, acknowledge our weaknesses, and build the resilience needed to handle similar situations better in the future. It is a moment to evaluate the situation from a place of calm rather than emotional turmoil, giving us a chance to respond in a way that is more constructive and aligned with our personal and spiritual value. Moreover, when we practice silence in the face of disrespect, we cultivate a deeper sense of emotional and spiritual intelligence. Emotional intelligence teaches us to manage our emotions in a healthy way, and spiritual intelligence encourages us to connect with our higher self and higher purpose. By embracing silence, we gain control over both our emotional responses and our spiritual direction. We stop allowing external circumstances to dictate our inner world and instead take responsibility for how we show up in every situation. Over time, this practice nurtures a greater sense of inner peace, emotional balance, and spiritual growth, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and understanding. In life, there are moments when people will look at you and misunderstand your journey. They will wonder how someone who faced so many setbacks, endured so much criticism, and walked through the valley of rejection could still rise. Let them wonder. Let them question. Because the truth is, the fall was never the end. It was a divine setup for something greater. You see, sometimes everything must fall apart so that you can step into what God truly designed for you. The shaking, the breaking, and the collapsing of what seemed stable were not punishments, they were preparations. God allows certain doors to close and relationships to crumble because He knows that your purpose requires pruning. He knows that what you are about to step into cannot be contaminated by the old, the toxic, or the familiar. Let them wonder why you didn't retaliate when they betrayed you. Let them wonder why you didn't crumble when they thought you would. What they don't understand is that your foundation wasn't built on what they gave you. Your foundation was built on the promises of God. And God never promised that the journey would be easy, but He did promise that He would never leave you. The people who thought they were tearing you down didn't realize they were merely planting you deeper. And like a seed buried in the ground, you were not buried to stay hidden, you were buried to grow. They didn't see the nights you cried out to God, the days you walked in silence, or the moments you wanted to give up but didn't. What they see now is the harvest, but they have no idea about the process. Let them wonder how you survived the chaos. Let them wonder how you're thriving in the very place they thought would break you. The answer is simple. It's God. It's His grace, His timing, and His favor. It's the unseen hand that turns messes into messages and struggles into testimonies. Everything fell apart not to destroy you, but to reveal who you truly are. It was in the breaking that you discovered your strength. It was in the isolation that you found your clarity. And it was in the silence that you heard God's voice louder than ever before. So let them wonder. Let them speculate. While they talk, you walk straight into your destiny. While they doubt, you soar, because those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. You're not here to explain your journey to anyone. You're here to fulfill your purpose, and sometimes that purpose requires the world to watch in amazement, wondering how you made it through what they thought would destroy you. They don't need the explanation. Let your success, your peace, and your unwavering faith speak for itself. Let them wonder, because the glory belongs to God, and your victory was always part of His plan. You see, God doesn't work in ways that always make sense to us. We cry over closed doors, unaware that those very doors were locked to protect us. We mourn over relationships that ended, not realizing they were holding us back from stepping into something better. What feels like chaos to us is often divine order in motion. The breakdowns in life are not the end of the story. They are the beginning of a new chapter 1 where God's hand is more evident than ever. When things fall apart, it's not the time to question your worth or your faith. It's the time to trust that God's vision for your life is far greater than your own. He sees the bigger picture. While we are focused on what we've lost, He is focused on what we are about to gain. The things that were removed from your life were not a punishment, they were a redirection. God had to shake your world to show you that you were settling for less than what He intended for you. He had to let the structure collapse so He could build something unshakable in its place. What may feel like the end of everything is actually the beginning of a new level of purpose and favor. The fall is not failure, it's refinement. It's in these moments that God reshapes you, refines you, and prepares you for the greatness He has already set aside for you. Let the world look and wonder, because what they see as falling apart, God sees us coming together for His glory. God removes what is toxic, old, or familiar, not to punish you, but to prepare you for the purpose He has designed for your life. Sometimes the very things we cling to are the barriers to our growth. We hold on to relationships, environments, and habits that feel safe because they are familiar, even when they are no longer serving us. But God, in His wisdom, knows that purpose requires pruning. He cuts away what is unnecessary, not to harm you, but to protect the destiny He has placed within you. The process of pruning is intentional. God knows the weight of your destiny, and He knows what cannot go with you into your next season. Toxic relationships that drain your spirit, mindsets that limit your faith, and environments that stifle your growth must be removed for you to thrive. It's not always the enemy trying to break you sometimes. It's God making room for something better. The pruning might feel like a loss, but it's actually gain in disguise. It's a divine exchange, removing what is no longer fruitful so that new, healthy growth can take its place. When you see things being taken away, don't resist the process. Trust that God is preparing you for something far greater than what you are losing. Pruning clears the way for clarity, for strength, and for the kind of maturity that purpose demands. God will never take something from your life without the intention of replacing it with something better. He removes the weeds so the harvest can flourish. He breaks the old so that the new can be built. So when you feel the sting of loss, remember that it's not punishment, it's preparation. God is cutting away what doesn't belong so that you can fully step into what does. What He removes, He replaces with abundance. What He prunes, He restores with purpose. Trust the pruning process, because it is proof that God is working on something extraordinary for your life. Let others wonder why you remain at peace while everything familiar falls away. They don't see that it's not falling apart, it's falling into place. Your foundation is built on God's promises, not on what others give or take away. People may think they hold the power to shape your destiny, to make or break you, but the truth is that your life's foundation is unshakable because it rests on something far greater than human hands can touch. It's not built on the approval of others, the success of fleeting circumstances, or even the stability of the things you once relied on. It is built on the eternal, unchanging promises of God. God never promised that the journey would be free from trials, but He promised to never leave you nor forsake you. He didn't promise that storms wouldn't come, but He promised that the storm would not destroy you. The world may look at your life and think that when the structures around you collapse, you will crumble too. But what they don't understand is that your strength doesn't come from those structures. It comes from the unmovable, unshakable Word of God. When people see you standing tall after betrayal, loss, or rejection, they can't comprehend it. They wonder why the winds didn't blow you away, or why the waves didn't drown you. What they fail to realize is that the foundation of your life is not rooted in temporary things. It's not in relationships, jobs, or the opinions of others. It is firmly rooted in the truth of who God is and what He has spoken over your life. The world can take away opportunities, strip you of titles, or even turn its back on you. But what it cannot take is what God has placed within you. His promises are your anchor. They are what hold you steady when everything around you is shaking. They remind you that your worth is not defined by external validation, but by the unchanging love of the Creator who called you by name. God's promises assure you that no weapon formed against you will prosper. They declare that greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. They guarantee that all things, even the painful and confusing ones, are working together for your good. So when the storms come, when the walls fall, and when people walk away, you don't collapse, because your strength isn't dependent on them. It's dependent on God, and He never fails. Let them wonder how you remain unshaken. Let them question how you keep moving forward when life throws its worst at you. They don't understand that what sustains you is deeper than anything they can see. It's the promises of God, promises that cannot be revoked, rewritten, or taken away. What He has spoken over your life will come to pass no matter how much opposition you face. And that, my friend, is why you will always stand tall no matter what. The struggles, betrayals, and challenges you face were never meant to bury you. They were meant to plant you. What looked like the end was actually the beginning of something greater. When people plotted against you, when doors were slammed in your face, and when the world seemed determined to see you fail, they didn't understand the power of what God was doing in your life. Every rejection, every insult, and every tear was part of the process of planting you deeper into the soil where your strength and resilience could grow. God doesn't allow pain without purpose. He doesn't waste the trials or the challenges. The things you've endured were never random. They were orchestrated to shape you, refine you, and prepare you for what's ahead. Betrayal might have broken your trust, but it also taught you discernment. Challenges might have tested your limits, but they also revealed the strength you didn't know you had. And rejection, as painful as it was, redirected you toward the path that God had always intended for you. When people thought they were tearing you down, they didn't realize they were contributing to your growth. Like a seed buried in the dirt, you were not hidden to stay forgotten. You were buried to rise. The dirt they threw on you wasn't meant to suffocate you. It was meant to nourish the greatness God had placed inside of you. What they saw as defeat, God saw as preparation. The deeper the seed is planted, the stronger its roots will grow. And when it finally breaks through the surface, it's no longer fragile, it's resilient. The struggles you faced were not signs of your weakness, they were proof of your strength. Each challenge forced you to dig deeper into your faith. Each betrayal pushed you closer to God's promises. Each moment of pain became a stepping stone toward your purpose. Those who tried to break you didn't understand that their actions were only sharpening you, making you stronger, wiser, and more equipped to handle the blessings that God has in store. Let them wonder how you endured what you did. Let them question how you kept going when everything seemed against you. They don't understand that the very things meant to harm you became the foundation for your victory. Your survival, your success, and your peace are a testimony to the fact that God doesn't let his children fall without a plan to raise them higher. What was meant to destroy you became the soil where you blossomed, and the deeper the pain, the greater the growth. So don't despise the struggles. Don't curse the challenges. They were necessary for your transformation. God used what was meant for evil and turned it for your good. And now, as you stand tall, thriving in ways they never expected, let them wonder how you made it. Let them be amazed at the strength and beauty that came from the very storms they thought would destroy you. You were planted to rise, and rise you will. People will see the harvest of your life and marvel at its beauty, but they will never fully understand the process that brought you there. They see the glory, but they don't know the story. They look at your success, your strength, and your peace, and they wonder how you got there, but they don't see the nights you cried out to God when no one was watching. They don't see the battles you fought in silence, the sacrifices you made, and the faith you had to hold on to when everything around you seemed to be falling apart. The process is often hidden, but it's in the process that God does his greatest work. Before the harvest, there is planting. Before the breakthrough, there is breaking. And before the glory, there is growth. Growth is not always glamorous. It's messy, painful, and often lonely. There were times you had to walk alone because the people around you couldn't see the vision God placed in your heart. There were moments you felt like giving up because the weight of the journey seemed too much to bear. But you didn't quit. You pressed on because something within you knew that the process was leading to a greater purpose. God doesn't just hand us the harvest without preparing us to handle it. He refines us in the fire, shaping us to carry the blessings he has in store. Every trial you endured, every setback you faced was part of that refining process. The disappointments taught you patience. The betrayals taught you wisdom. The struggle strengthened your faith. And through it all, God was molding you into someone who could not only receive the harvest, but sustain it. Let them wonder. Let them marvel at the harvest of your life, because what they don't see is the hand of God that carried you through the process. They don't see the roots that grew deep in the soil of faith while you were hidden from the world. They don't see the grace that sustained you, the promises that kept you going, or the moments when God whispered, "Keep going, I'm with you." What they see now is the evidence of God's faithfulness. It's the testimony of a life surrendered to his will. The harvest they admire is not just about the fruits of success. It's about the power of a God who turns pain into purpose, loss into gain, and trials into triumphs. So let them speculate, let them be amazed, because what they see is just the surface. The real story is deeper, richer, and filled with the fingerprints of God. And that's why your life will always be a testament to His glory. Timing is everything with God. He knows that a blessing given too soon can become a burden. What looks like a delay to you is actually God's preparation. He is never in a hurry, but He is never late. He sees the beginning and the end, and He knows the exact moment when everything will fall into place. What you thought was stagnation was actually sanctification. God was refining you, shaping your character, and preparing your heart to receive what He had planned for you. While you were waiting, God was building your endurance. He was teaching you to trust Him even when you couldn't see the outcome. He was strengthening your faith, showing you that His promises are not dependent on your timeline, but on His. Waiting is not wasted time, it's sacred time. It's in the waiting that you learn to rely on Him completely, to let go of your own understanding, and to surrender your plans to His will. If God had given you what you wanted when you wanted it, you might not have been ready to handle it. He withheld certain things not to punish you, but to protect you. He delayed certain opportunities because the environment wasn't yet prepared for your arrival. He allowed certain doors to close because the path they led to was not aligned with your purpose. Every delay was a part of His design, ensuring that when the blessing came, it would come at the right time, in the right way, and with the right impact. Now, as you step into the season of fulfillment, let them wonder how everything fell into place so perfectly. Let them marvel at the way doors opened at just the right moment. They don't see the years of waiting, the silent prayers, or the tears shed in solitude. They don't know how many times you have to remind yourself that God's timing is not your timing, but that it is always perfect. They only see the result of a process that was carefully guided by God's hand. God's timing is a demonstration of His wisdom and love. He knows what you need when you need it, and how to deliver it in a way that will not only bless you, but also glorify Him. So when others look at your life and wonder how everything came together, let them know it wasn't luck or coincidence, it was God's perfect timing. It was His ability to take what seemed like delays and turn them into destiny. What they see now is the culmination of a process that was never random, but always intentional. God's timing is not just perfect, it's proof that He was in control all along. There will always be those who can't understand your peace, your confidence, and the way you carry yourself through life's storms. They may wonder how you stay so calm when everything around you seems chaotic, how you remain steady when others are crumbling under pressure. What they don't realize is that your peace comes from a place they cannot reach. It comes from the deep assurance that God is in control, that His promises are true, and that He is working everything out for your good, even when the circumstances don't reflect it. This peace is born from trust. It's the kind of trust that says, even though I don't understand, I know that God understands. Even though I can't see the way forward, I know He is leading me. It's the kind of peace that surpasses human understanding because it's rooted in something greater than yourself. It comes from knowing that God's plans for your life are far greater than your own, and that no matter how difficult the journey, you are being guided every step of the way. They won't understand how you can keep going, how you can continue to show up, how you can still keep moving forward with joy despite the obstacles you face. What they don't see is that your strength isn't your own. It's the strength that comes from knowing that you are not fighting alone. It's the strength that comes from surrendering your worries and anxieties to God, knowing that He is the one who fights your battles. It's the strength that comes from resting in His faithfulness, trusting that He will deliver on every promise He has made to you. You've learned that peace isn't the absence of problems, but the presence of trust in God's ability to bring you through them. The more you trust Him, the more your peace grows. The more you release your fears to Him, the more His peace fills you. It's a peace that doesn't come from the world or from people, but from knowing that you are walking in alignment with the Creator of the universe. His peace guards your heart and mind, and no matter what happens around you, it remains unshaken. Let them wonder how you can walk through life's challenges with a smile, how you can face setbacks with strength. Let them marvel at the calmness you exude in the midst of chaos. What they don't know is that you are not walking alone. You are walking with the peace of God, a peace that transcends anything this world can give. They don't see the prayers, the moments of surrender, and the quiet trust that has carried you through. But you know that this peace is a gift, a result of the deep relationship you have with the one who holds your life in his hands. And that, my friend, is why you can stand in the storm and still remain unshaken. There's a profound strength in the ability to keep moving forward, even when everything seems to be falling apart around you. It's easy to be swayed by the opinions of others, to be discouraged by the circumstances, or to feel defeated when things don't go the way you plan. But you've come to realize that your progress is not dependent on how perfect everything is or how smooth the path seems. Your ability to keep going comes from a deeper place, a place of resolve, resilience, and faith. When everything falls apart, that is when you are given the opportunity to rebuild. You see, failure is not the end of the road. It's just a lesson, a stepping stone, and an invitation to grow. When things seem to crumble, it's often because God is making room for something better. He is clearing the old to make way for the new. He's shaking things up because he knows that sometimes to build something greater, the old foundation needs to be removed. So instead of looking at what has fallen apart as loss, you've learned to see it as a divine opportunity for transformation. Every time you faced adversity and kept going, you've become stronger, wiser, and more focused. The trials didn't break you, they refined you. You've learned that setbacks are not failures, but opportunities to realign yourself with your purpose. Every challenge you faced was part of your training, preparing you for the greater things ahead. Your growth didn't happen in the comfortable moments. It happened in the moments of struggle, in the moments when you felt like quitting but chose to press on. What others may not see is the work you've done behind the scenes, the nights you spent in prayer, the decisions you made to keep your heart right, the times you had to push through, even when you didn't feel like it. They didn't see the battles you fought in silence, the inner strength you had to summon, the faith you had to hold on to when everything around you seemed uncertain. They don't know the sacrifices you made in private, the hours you put in, or the perseverance that led you to this point. This ability to keep going is not just about surviving, it's about thriving in the midst of challenges. It's about understanding that God is with you, even in the toughest of times. His strength becomes your strength. When you feel like you have nothing left, he steps in and fills the gap. His grace is sufficient, and in your weakness, his power is made perfect. You've learned to lean into that power and not your own. And it is this unwavering trust in his ability to carry you through that has made all the difference. The world may not understand how you keep pushing forward, how you stay resilient despite the odds. They may wonder why, when everything is falling apart, you continue to rise. They don't see that it's not your strength, but God's. They don't see the invisible battles you've won, the prayers that have been answered, or the moments of surrender that brought you to this point. But what they will see is the victory that comes after the struggle, the breakthrough that comes after the breaking. They will see that what has fallen apart will be put back together, stronger and more powerful than ever before. So let them wonder. Let them be amazed at how you keep standing tall in the storm, how you keep walking when others have given up. What they don't see is that you're not walking alone. You're walking with the power of God, with a resilience that comes from trusting him through every season, no matter how difficult. And that is what makes you unshakable. That is what makes you unstoppable. There is a beauty in the way God often works in the background of our lives, doing things we cannot see or understand in the moment. While you were facing the most difficult of times, struggling with things falling apart, God was shaping your future in ways you couldn't have imagined. You see, it's easy to be consumed by what's happening right now and to think that what you're going through is all that matters. But the truth is, every experience you face, every challenge you endure, every setback, and even every failure is part of a much bigger picture that you cannot yet see. What others may not realize is that the challenges you faced have been your preparation for the greatness that lies ahead. They may see your struggles, your moments of weakness, and they may think that you're on the verge of collapse. But what they don't understand is that those struggles were not wasted. They were the very tools God used to refine you. Every hardship you've encountered, every door that's been slammed in your face, every setback that made you feel like you couldn't go on, all of that was not for nothing. It was all part of your growth, part of the process of God getting you ready for the abundance he has for you. While you were caught in the whirlwind of emotions, doubts, and frustrations, God was preparing your heart. He was aligning your mind, your spirit, and your circumstances to fit the destiny He has for you. He knew what you were capable of, even when you couldn't see it yourself. And so He allowed certain things to fall apart, not as a punishment, but as a divine setup for something far greater than you could have asked for or imagined. God never wastes a season of your life. The seasons of waiting, of pain, of confusion, none of them are wasted. They were all used by God to build you, to teach you, and to position you for your purpose. You might have thought you were losing, but in reality, you were winning in ways that were invisible to the human eye. Each trial, each loss, each failure wasn't a sign of defeat. It was God's way of strengthening your character, deepening your faith, and sharpening your vision for the future. And here's the powerful truth sometimes. It takes things falling apart in order for God to reveal the depth of His plan for your life. You can't get to the next level without first being broken in some way. You can't rise to the heights He has destined for you without first enduring the lows that test your resolve. And while others may look at you and see only brokenness, you now understand that this brokenness is the very thing that positions you for what's to come. What has fallen apart will be pieced back together in ways that reflect God's glory, power, and grace. In the eyes of the world, everything might seem like it's falling apart, but in the eyes of God, everything is falling into place. You are being prepared for something bigger, something better, something that you could not have had without first going through the process of breaking. The process wasn't easy, but it was necessary. It was necessary for the breakthrough that's coming, for the favor that's about to overtake you, and for the doors that are about to open wide. What has fallen apart will be restored, not just to its former state, but elevated to a higher level, a higher purpose. Let them wonder how everything came together. Let them be amazed at the way God has orchestrated every detail of your life. Even when you couldn't see it, they won't understand how what was once a mess became a masterpiece. They won't understand how you went from the lowest point to the highest peak. But you know that God has been working in the hidden places, preparing you for something that's about to be revealed in its fullness. So don't be discouraged by what's falling apart. Be excited about what God is about to put together. It's going to be more magnificent, more purposeful, and more glorious than anything you could have ever planned or imagined. While the world may look at you and see only brokenness, God sees the potential for greatness. What others may not understand is that your greatest strength is born from the moments when you thought you couldn't go on. It's when you're pushed to the limits of your endurance that you discover what you are truly capable of. It's in the face of adversity that your resilience is formed, not when life is easy or comfortable. It's in the trials, the pain, and the struggles that you find the courage to stand tall once again, despite all that you've been through. In every moment of pain, there's a lesson being taught. You may not understand it in the heat of the moment, but looking back, you will see that each trial has purpose. Each hardship serves as a stepping stone, bringing you closer to your true potential. Every person who walked away, every opportunity that slipped through your fingers, every betrayal has been a part of God's refining process. He's been strengthening you in areas you never knew needed strengthening, teaching you patience, endurance, and trust in His timing. Your ability to rise from the ashes and keep moving forward is a direct result of the divine resilience God has placed within you. People might wonder how you're still standing, how you've managed to overcome so much and keep going. But what they don't know is that your strength is not your own. It comes from God. It comes from the fact that you are grounded in His promises and His power. You are not fighting this battle alone. He is right beside you, lifting you up when you can no longer stand on your own. You may have felt defeated, broken, and weak in moments where everything seemed to be falling apart. But through those experiences, God has been developing a warrior spirit in you, one that cannot be easily shaken. You are now stronger than you were before. Your capacity to endure, your ability to forgive, your understanding of what it truly means to trust, these are the fruits of the struggles you faced. They are the marks of a life that has been touched and transformed by the hand of God. When everything falls apart, you may feel as if you're in the deepest valley. But understand this, God is in that valley with you. He is shaping you for what is to come. You will rise, and when you do, it will be with a strength that others will marvel at. You will be a living testimony of what it looks like to overcome the odds, to keep going when it feels impossible, and to emerge victorious, not because of your own might, but because of the power of God working through you. As we reflect on everything that has unfolded in your life, remember this: what may have seemed like the end was only the beginning. Every setback, every moment of pain, every failure has not been in vain. God is a master architect, and He is using every piece of your life, every experience, to shape you into the person you were always meant to be. What others may not understand is that through your struggles, you are being prepared for a future that is greater than anything you could have imagined. Let them wonder how you kept going when everything seemed to fall apart. Let them question how you were able to rise from the ashes. The answer is simple: because you are a child of God, and He has never left you, never forsaken you. His strength, His grace, and His love have carried you through it all. And now, as you stand on the other side, you are stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. So when people look at your life and wonder how you made it through, you can proudly say, it was not by my own strength, but by the grace of God. You are proof that what the enemy meant for harm, God has turned around for your good. The best is yet to come, and as you move forward in your purpose, let them continue to wonder, because your victory is already assured. There is power in your absence. Often we find ourselves in situations where we feel compelled to explain, to defend, or to justify our actions. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to simply remove yourself. There are times in life when the best thing you can do for your peace, your growth, and your purpose is to step away. Your absence speaks louder than any words could ever say. In this world, people will try to define you by their perceptions, their judgments, and their assumptions. They will try to box you into their limited understanding of who you are. But the truth is, no one can truly know the depth of your heart, the strength of your spirit, or the calling that is on your life unless they see you walking in alignment with your purpose. And when they don't, when they try to keep you small, when they try to hold you in their limited view of you, your absence will be the testimony. It will be the sign that you are no longer willing to conform to their expectations or to remain in environments that don't serve your purpose. Sometimes you must let go of relationships, of places, of people who don't understand your worth. It's not out of anger, it's not out of bitterness. It's a recognition that you are too valuable to be trapped in a place of limitation. The people who truly value you will recognize your absence, not with condemnation, but with understanding. They will understand that your departure was not out of rejection, but out of necessity for your growth, for your purpose, and for your destiny. You see, the truth is that your absence reveals the depth of the relationship. It reveals who truly values you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. It uncovers those who love you unconditionally from those who only loved you for the service you provided or the role you played in their lives. When you step back and allow space to form, those who are meant to be in your life will rise to the occasion. They will seek reconciliation, understanding, and growth, while those who were never truly invested will fade away, and that too is a revelation. Understand this: your absence is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to recognize your worth and to walk away from what does not align with your future. It is the power to say that you refuse to settle for anything less than what you were created for. It is the courage to know that you are not defined by the spaces you occupy, but by the purpose that resides within you. Your absence will speak the truth because it reveals the authenticity of relationships and the integrity of your own character. You don't need to argue, you don't need to fight, and you don't need to defend yourself. Sometimes leaving is the most powerful statement you can make. When you step away, you allow others to see that your presence in their lives was a gift, and that gift was not to be taken for granted. Your absence will make them reflect on what they had, what they lost, and what they might never get back. So don't be afraid to step back when the time comes. Your absence will speak volumes, and it will do more for your legacy than any words or explanations ever could. Keep your focus on the calling that is on your life and trust that the right people will understand. They will not take your absence personally, but will recognize it for what it truly is, a sign of your growth, your value, and your commitment to living out your purpose. Your absence, my friend, will indeed speak the truth. There is incredible power in your absence, far more than most people realize. Often we are taught that we must always be present, always available, and always engaged. We are told that to make an impact, we must be seen, heard, and constantly involved. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is by simply stepping away. Your absence is not a sign of weakness or failure. Rather, it is a bold declaration of your understanding of your worth and your purpose. It speaks volumes about your confidence in knowing when to pull back and protect your peace. When you remove yourself from situations, environments, or relationships that do not serve your higher good, you are sending a message that cannot be ignored. People may question your absence, wonder why you are no longer involved, or try to fill in the blanks with their own assumptions. But in that space, you are allowing the truth to unfold naturally. You are allowing others to recognize that your presence is not something to be taken for granted, and it carries a weight that is felt even in your absence. The power of your absence lies in its ability to make others reflect. It forces people to recognize the void left when you step away, and in that void, they must confront the reality of how much they may have taken you for granted. While they may not express it immediately, your absence will make them think, evaluate, and possibly even change. The very act of leaving speaks the truth about how important your contribution was, whether they acknowledged it before or not. In a world where we are constantly told to prove our worth and to always be in the mix, stepping away becomes a radical form of strength. It says that you will not be diminished, overlooked, or undervalued. Your absence teaches others that your presence is a privilege, not an entitlement. It creates a shift, and sometimes that shift is what is necessary for them to fully appreciate what you brought to the table. So often we try to hold on, to explain ourselves, to convince others of our value, but the truth is, you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Your absence does it for you. When you step away, it is a clear and undeniable statement that you will not settle for anything less than what aligns with your purpose and your values. It speaks more truth than any words could, and it leaves a lasting impression on those who are left to realize what they lost. When you truly understand the power of your absence, you begin to recognize that you don't need to explain, justify, or defend yourself to anyone. In a world that constantly demands validation, there is a certain liberation that comes from stepping away and letting your absence speak for itself. Too often, we feel compelled to provide explanations for every decision, to clarify our actions, or to convince others of our intentions. We want people to understand why we make the choices we do, why we don't participate in certain conversations, or why we may be distancing ourselves from situations that no longer serve us. But in truth, sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to stop trying to explain your every move. Your absence is a powerful communicator. It sends a message that your actions are intentional and that you do not need to justify yourself to anyone. The energy spent on explaining yourself, defending your boundaries, or trying to make others understand your choices is draining. But when you step back and simply live your life in alignment with your purpose, the need for explanation diminishes. Others will begin to recognize that you have a higher calling, that you are operating from a place of self-respect, and that your decisions are made with intention. Think about how often we find ourselves defending our decisions, explaining why we can't give our time, or justifying why we made a certain choice. The truth is, when we constantly explain ourselves, we inadvertently open ourselves up to judgment, to criticism, and to the opinions of others. But by choosing to remove ourselves from the need for validation, we take control of the narrative. We stop seeking approval from people who may never understand our true motives. We stop allowing ourselves to be swayed by opinions that don't align with who we are and what we stand for. Instead, we embrace the quiet power of our absence, and in doing so, we set a boundary that speaks louder than any explanation could ever accomplish. Your absence forces others to face their own assumptions and judgments. It makes them question why they may have misunderstood you in the past, or why they may have taken you for granted. Without your presence to fuel their misconceptions, they are left to reflect on the truth of who you are. And that truth is something that no amount of explaining or defending could ever convey. Sometimes people need space to realize what they had and how much they truly valued your presence, and often that realization only comes in your absence. By choosing to no longer explain yourself, you are embracing your worth and your purpose. You are showing the world that you don't need to justify your actions because you are walking in alignment with your higher calling. You are telling others that your time, energy, and presence are sacred and they should not be taken lightly. Your absence, free from the need for explanation, will create a deeper understanding in those who are truly meant to be part of your life. It will allow the right people to appreciate you for who you are without the need for constant justification. When we talk about the limited perception of others, it is important to recognize that many people will attempt to define you as based on their own narrow understanding of who we are and what we are capable of. They see us through the lens of their experiences, their biases, and their limitations. They cannot see the depth of our hearts, the scope of our dreams, or the fullness of our potential because they are often stuck in a fixed idea of who we are based on a moment, a circumstance, or a past version of ourselves. And here's the truth: their perception of you, no matter how loud it may be, will never fully capture the essence of who you are or what you are meant to become. We have all encountered people who want to define us by a label, an action, a moment in time, or a mistake we may have made. They want to categorize us and box us into a corner so that they can feel comfortable with their understanding of us. But this is where your absence comes in. When you step away, when you remove yourself from their limited view, you are allowing the truth to come forth. Your absence makes it impossible for others to project their assumptions onto you. It forces them to confront the reality that they never truly understood you in the first place and that their judgment was based on an incomplete picture. When you allow people to define you by their narrow perceptions, you surrender your truth to them. You give up the opportunity to show who you truly are and what you are capable of. But the moment you step away, you take back control. You give yourself the space to be seen on your own terms, and you let the world witness your full potential in a way that no explanation could ever do. Your absence disrupts their comfortable understanding of who you are, and in doing so, it challenges them to question the limitations they placed on you. This is why it is so important to recognize the limitations that others place on us. Often, these perceptions come from people who are projecting their own fears, insecurities, and limitations onto us. They see us as they are, not as we are. They may not understand why we are making certain decisions, why we are moving in a direction they don't agree with, or why we are no longer part of a situation that once felt familiar. But this is not your problem to solve. The truth is, their limited view of you is not your responsibility. When you remove yourself from the equation, you allow them the opportunity to grow, to reflect, and to perhaps even evolve in their understanding of who you truly are. And while you may not always be able to change how people perceive you, you can always control how you allow their perceptions to impact your life. When you recognize that others' understanding of you is limited, you realize that their opinions are not a reflection of your worth or your capabilities. You are not bound by their inability to see the bigger picture. You are free to become all that you are meant to be, regardless of how others choose to define you. By stepping away, you give others the space to either evolve in their perception of you or to let go of the false narratives they have held onto. Your absence creates the necessary distance for them to reflect on their own limitations and perhaps recognize the depth of your character and the potential you have yet to fully reveal. And in that space, they may come to understand that your life is not defined by their view of you, but by the truth of who you are, which can only be seen when you are no longer constrained by their expectations. There comes a time in everyone's life when they must recognize the importance of stepping away from relationships, situations, or environments that no longer contribute to their growth or align with their higher purpose. This is not an act of bitterness, nor is it a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is an act of great strength and self-awareness. It's a conscious decision to prioritize your own well-being, peace, and future over the temporary comfort of staying in situations that drain you, limit you, or hold you back. Many times, people will try to convince you that you should stay, to keep fighting through the discomfort, to continue tolerating what doesn't serve you because that's what's expected or what's familiar. But the truth is, real growth and transformation only happen when you dare to step away from what is holding you back, even if that means letting go of people, places, or opportunities that once felt significant. When you remove yourself from situations that no longer align with your values or your destiny, you are sending a powerful message, not just to the people around you, but to yourself. You are telling yourself that you are worthy of more. You are worthy of growth. You are worthy of being in an environment that challenges you to be your best, that pushes you toward your purpose, and that surrounds you with the energy and people who want to see you succeed. Stepping away is an act of self-respect and self-love. It's a recognition that you have the power to shape your environment and that your presence is a gift, not something that should be taken lightly or used up in unhealthy situations. Leaving behind toxic relationships or unfulfilling circumstances isn't about running away from challenges. It's about choosing not to engage in battles that won't contribute to your progress. It's about walking away from drama, negativity, or people who don't understand or value your worth. Too often we convince ourselves that we should stay in these situations because we feel guilty, because we fear what others will think, or because we think we should be loyal to the wrong things. But loyalty to the wrong people or situations is self-sabotage. If you stay where you are being undervalued, misunderstood, or taken for granted, you are only limiting your own potential. The longer you stay in that space, the longer you delay your growth. True strength comes when you make the difficult decision to walk away, not because you are angry or hurt, but because you recognize that your time and energy are better spent elsewhere. It is in that moment of departure that you not only reclaim your peace, but you also give yourself the space to heal, grow, and evolve into the person you are meant to be. You open the door to new opportunities, new relationships, and new possibilities that are in alignment with the future you are creating for yourself. When you step away from something that is no longer serving your growth, you are not walking away from something, you are walking towards something. You are walking toward your future, toward your purpose, and toward a life that resonates with who you truly are. It's not about what you leave behind, it's about what you are moving towards. And sometimes the most significant part of this process is that you have to leave behind what feels familiar, what feels comfortable, in order to step into the unknown, where all your potential lies. It is through this courageous act of stepping away that you make space for the next chapter of your life to unfold in a way that aligns with your true purpose. There is a profound strength in recognizing that your absence is not about diminishing yourself, but rather about creating the space for your true value to be recognized. Often people will become accustomed to your presence and begin to take it for granted. They may come to expect it, believe it's always available, and stop seeing the value of having you around. Your time, energy, and effort are no longer viewed as special, they are simply expected. This is where the power of your absence begins to speak louder than your presence ever could. It's in stepping away that you force people to reflect on the importance of your contribution. When you are always there, always available, always present, your efforts can easily be overlooked. People get comfortable in your consistency, and that comfort leads them to underappreciate what you bring to the table. But the moment you step away, something shifts. The space you leave behind becomes a void that cannot be filled by anything or anyone else. That absence, while sometimes uncomfortable for those around you, creates an opportunity for them to recognize what they had and what they took for granted. You begin to reveal to others how valuable your presence truly was. It's not just about showing up, it's about the quality of your presence and the energy you bring to every interaction. Your absence is a reminder of the unique role you played, and in that silence, the truth of your worth becomes undeniable. People will often only understand the weight of what they had once it is no longer available to them. In relationships, whether personal or professional, your consistent presence can sometimes lead others to forget the value of having you there. They may not realize how much you contributed, how much you sacrificed, or how much of yourself you gave until you are no longer there to do so. And when that happens, they are left to fill that gap, and in doing so, they are forced to recognize just how important you were to the success, harmony, or balance of the situation. Your absence is a catalyst for reflection. It forces others to evaluate their own actions, behaviors, and assumptions. They may begin to realize that they took you for granted, that they did not fully appreciate the way you showed up in their lives, or that they assumed you would always be around. In that space of absence, they are left to reflect on what they lost. They may begin to recognize the quality you brought, whether it was the wisdom you shared, the encouragement you gave, or the stability you provided. They will feel the void you left behind, and in doing so, they will come to understand your value in a way that was not apparent when you were always present. The beauty of this dynamic is that your absence is not a passive event. It is an active demonstration of your worth. It is in the silence that people come to appreciate the sound of your voice. It is in the absence of your energy that they understand the magnitude of what you contributed. In that gap, they are left with the truth you were irreplaceable. Your absence challenges them to confront their own awareness of how they interacted with you. It serves as a mirror, reflecting the ways in which they may have overlooked the blessing of your presence. The power of absence lies in the fact that it is not a permanent loss, but a powerful shift in perception. When you choose to step away, you give others the space to realize what they had in you. And when they begin to recognize the value of what you brought, they may make changes in their behavior or in their way of interacting with you in the future. Your absence, though it may cause discomfort in the short term, ultimately creates a lasting shift in how you are valued. And sometimes this shift is exactly what is needed for people to truly understand and respect the gift that you are. When you choose to step away, you are often making space for others to grow, learn, and evolve in their own understanding of themselves and their actions. It is easy for people to take advantage of what is readily available, assuming that things will always be as they are. When we are present, when we are always there to support, to offer help, or to provide advice, it can sometimes prevent others from stepping into their own responsibility or facing the consequences of their own choices. Your presence, while it may be intended to help, can sometimes unintentionally enable a certain level of complacency or dependency in others. It's in our absence that they are forced to face the reality of their own actions, the consequences of their decisions, and the space you once filled. This may be difficult to accept because it is hard to imagine that our stepping away could serve as a catalyst for someone else's growth. But it is often in our absence that people are most challenged to reflect on their own behavior, to step up and to take responsibility for their own actions. It is in this moment of silence that they are confronted with the need to either fill the gap we have left or continue to operate as they have always done, unaware of the impact their lack of growth has on those around them. When you choose to step back, you are giving others the opportunity to grow in ways that they may not have been able to before. They are now in a position to recognize their own patterns, whether it's their inability to communicate effectively, their lack of effort, or their dependence on others to do the work for them. By stepping away, you are no longer available to fill the gaps they have relied on you for, and this forces them to step up and take action themselves. In relationships, this principle becomes especially important. Many times we stay in situations or relationships out of a sense of obligation or a desire to help, even when it's clear that the other person has not taken full responsibility for their own life. We give, and in doing so, we may be robbing the other person of the opportunity to learn how to stand on their own. It's only when we remove ourselves from the equation that they are forced to take ownership of their own decisions, to face the consequences of their actions, and to realize that their success or failure is no longer dependent on us. This does not mean that we abandon those we care about. Rather, it is a powerful form of letting go, allowing them to grow in their own time, in their own way. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to step away. Your absence sends a clear message that their actions have consequences and that they must begin to take responsibility for their own life rather than relying on others to fill the void or to constantly step in to fix things for them. When you remove yourself from unhealthy situations, you also give others the opportunity to recognize the depth of their actions and the impact those actions have on others. Sometimes people only understand the gravity of their behavior once they are left to experience the void of your absence. They can no longer take for granted the help, the advice, the encouragement, or the support that you once freely gave. In this absence, they may begin to reflect on their own behavior and realize that they must change, grow, or evolve in order to fill the space you once occupied. This is not about punishing them, but rather about offering them the gift of growth through self-reflection. Stepping away is not an act of revenge or a desire to teach someone a lesson. It is an act of kindness and self-respect. By stepping away, you give the other person the space to face their own challenges and to grow in ways they could not while you were always there, filling the gaps. You are offering them the opportunity to learn, to become more self-sufficient, and to grow into the person they are meant to be, just as you are doing the same for yourself. In the silence of your absence, you are empowering them to rise to the occasion and to take responsibility for their own lives. In every relationship, whether personal or professional, there comes a point where you must recognize that your absence may be the best way to protect your own peace and well-being. When you are constantly present in a situation or a person's life, you may inadvertently open the door to being taken for granted. The truth is, many people do not truly appreciate your presence until it is no longer there. Your continuous availability can sometimes be seen as a given, something that will always be there no matter what. This can lead to a lack of appreciation for what you bring to the table, your energy, your support, your wisdom, your love, and your time. It's easy for people to become accustomed to the good things in their lives, to the people who make sacrifices for them, or to the ones who are always there to lend a hand, a listening ear, or a word of advice. They come to expect it, to take it for granted, and in that space, your contributions, your presence, and your value become overlooked because you are always available, always there, always willing to give. The danger here is that the more available you are, the less you are truly valued. You may feel unappreciated, and this can slowly eat away at your spirit, especially if you are giving of yourself and not receiving the recognition or gratitude you deserve. When you make the choice to step away, you are not doing it out of spite or anger. You are doing it because you recognize that your presence should be valued, that your time and energy should not be taken for granted. Your absence serves as a powerful reminder to others that you are not to be overlooked or taken advantage of. It forces them to see the impact of your contributions and the value you bring to their lives. This moment of absence creates an awakening, a realization that they must now fill the space you once occupied, and that your time, your attention, and your love should not be something that they should expect to always have without recognizing the worth of what you bring. In relationships, this can be a powerful lesson for both parties involved. It is in your absence that people begin to understand the depth of the connection you provided, whether that was through emotional support, shared experiences, or simply being a consistent presence in their lives. They begin to see the void you leave, and in doing so, they gain clarity about what they may have taken for granted. This realization may spark a new understanding, a new level of appreciation, and an acknowledgement of the value of your time and energy. It is also important to recognize that when you step back, you give others the opportunity to step forward. You may have been the one doing most of the work, taking on most of the responsibility, or always being the one to make things happen. Your absence challenges the others involved to step up, to show up, and to take responsibility for their own part. It encourages them to realize that they can no longer rely on you to fill in the gaps, and that they must take action themselves if they want to maintain the relationship or the progress that was once made with your help. This absence doesn't just give others a chance to appreciate what they had, it also forces them to take ownership of their own role in the relationship or the situation. If they have been passive or dependent on your presence, they now find themselves in a position where they must step up, either to maintain the relationship or to contribute in meaningful ways. Your absence compels them to evaluate their own level of involvement and commitment, and in doing so, it can lead to a deeper, more reciprocal bond built on mutual respect and understanding. By stepping away, you are also protecting yourself from becoming overextended or emotionally drained. Constantly giving without receiving can deplete you, leaving you with little to give to yourself or to others who truly value and appreciate you. Your absence is a way of replenishing yourself, of refocusing on your own needs, and of ensuring that you are not being consumed by people or situations that do not return your investment in kind. It's an act of self-preservation, a recognition that you are worthy of being valued and that your presence should be cherished, not taken for granted. Ultimately, your absence creates a space for reflection for both you and the people around you. For you, it's an opportunity to assess your own boundaries, to understand your own worth, and to recharge. For others, it's a wake-up call that highlights the importance of your presence and forces them to consider how they have treated you and how they can show greater appreciation in the future. By stepping away, you not only protect your peace, but you also provide others with the opportunity to rise to a higher level of respect, responsibility, and appreciation. In the absence of your presence, people often find themselves forced to confront the reality of their actions, or more accurately, their inactions. When you're always there to offer a helping hand, a word of encouragement, or even just your presence, others may not realize that their actions or lack thereof have consequences. It's only when you step back that the true weight of their choices becomes clear. Sometimes we fail to see the damage we've done, the relationships we've neglected, or the opportunities we've missed until we are left to face the emptiness left behind in someone's absence. Your choice to remove yourself is not an act of punishment, but rather a moment of truth that forces others to face themselves. In your absence, they have no one else to point to, no one to blame, and no one to rely on but themselves. This absence is an invitation to introspection. It forces individuals to look inward and ask themselves, how have I contributed to this situation? Why didn't I give my best? What could I have done differently? Sometimes people don't realize the importance of your contribution until they feel the void you've left. They don't recognize how much they've leaned on you, taken you for granted, or how comfortable they become with expecting your presence. When you step away, they are suddenly forced to reflect on the nature of their actions and the consequences that come with them. For example, in a friendship, if you've always been the one to initiate contact, to make plans, or to keep the relationship going, your absence will force the other person to evaluate their own level of effort. They can no longer rely on you to take the initiative. They are faced with a choice. Will they step up and nurture the relationship, or will they allow it to fade away? This moment of reflection is invaluable because it reveals the true strength of the relationship and the depth of commitment from both sides. In this silence, people realize who they are without you, and whether they are capable of maintaining the bond on their own. At times, this absence doesn't just shed light on others' actions, it forces them to realize what they are truly capable of. When you are no longer there to fill the gaps, others must step up and discover their own strength and resourcefulness. They are given the chance to evolve, to learn new skills, or to take on challenges that they would not have faced if you were always there to handle things for them. While it may be uncomfortable or challenging at first, it is this process of stepping into responsibility that leads to personal growth and development. Furthermore, this absence serves as an important reminder that we are all accountable for our own actions, decisions, and relationships. When we're always there, we may inadvertently become the crutch someone leans on, and they forget that they must take responsibility for their own life. Your stepping away forces them to realize that they can no longer lean on you, and that they must take full responsibility for their own actions and outcomes. It's an awakening, a moment that challenges people to confront themselves, to make choices, and to take ownership of their decisions, free from the comfort of your ever-present support. In relationships, in work, or in any aspect of life, it is often in our absence that the full scope of our impact is revealed. It is not the things we do that are always remembered, but rather the things that are left undone, the gaps that are left unfilled, and the absence that makes others realize how much we truly mattered. In our absence, people begin to see the truth about themselves, their actions, and the impact they have on the world around them. They are forced to take responsibility, to grow, and to evolve. Our absence is not just the absence of a person, it is the absence of an opportunity for reflection, self-evaluation, and growth that may have otherwise been avoided. In every moment of absence, there exists a powerful message that transcends words, actions, or intentions, a message that can reveal truths that were previously hidden beneath the surface. When you step away, you are not simply vacating a space physically, you are allowing the other person or people involved to experience the full weight of what you brought to the table. Whether it is your presence, your wisdom, your leadership, or your support, your absence often uncovers the reality of what was once taken for granted. It shines a light on the impact you had, and often it reveals the gaps left behind when you are no longer there. When you choose to step back, you give people the chance to reflect on how they have treated you, how they have valued you, and how they may have taken your contributions for granted. Sometimes people need to feel the absence of something, whether it's your time, your energy, your efforts, or your love, before they can fully comprehend how significant it was to their lives. This process is not about seeking validation or recognition, but about creating an environment where the truth can emerge, whether they realize it or not. People often don't understand the value of something until it is no longer available to them. They take it for granted because it has always been there, available on demand. It's like a resource that is always flowing, whether it's your time, your emotional support, or your guidance. But the moment that flow is interrupted, even temporarily, they realize how much they depended on it. The absence is like a mirror reflecting the reality of the situation. It forces others to see what they have lost, and this loss can be one of the most profound awakenings they experience. Think about how often you hear the phrase, "I didn't know what I had until it was gone." This statement rings true in so many aspects of life. People tend to overlook the value of what they have until they no longer have access to it. In relationships, this is especially powerful. If you've been the one who has been always present, always available, always forgiving, your absence can be the catalyst for others to take a step back and realize how much they've relied on you, how much they've expected from you, and how little they've reciprocated. This sudden absence serves as a wake-up call. It makes them ask, why didn't I appreciate this person more when they were here? Why didn't I show more gratitude for their presence, for what they gave me, for the value they brought into my life? Sometimes it is only in the silence of your absence that others are forced to see their own behavior, their own actions, and how they may have taken your willingness to show up for them as something that was always going to be there. In a way, your absence becomes a lesson, one that cannot be learned until you step away. Furthermore, your absence does not only allow others to see the truth about how they treated you, it also reveals to them the truth about their own lives. When they are faced with the space you once filled, they are confronted with their own actions, their own choices, and their own shortcomings. They can no longer rely on your presence to fill the gaps or to provide them with a sense of direction. Instead, they must find their own strength, their own purpose, and their own way forward. Your absence forces them to confront the reality of their situation and evaluate whether they have been living in a way that truly aligns with their values, their purpose, and their vision for their own lives. In this absence, they begin to see how much they have neglected their own growth, how much they have relied on your support without taking the necessary steps to build their own foundation. It's a humbling moment for them, one that may not be immediately appreciated, but one that is crucial for their development. This absence creates space for them to step up, to take ownership of their lives, and to take responsibility for their own actions. It's a lesson in self-reliance, in accountability, and in recognizing that nothing in life should be taken for granted. This moment of absence also helps to redefine the nature of the relationship. If you have always been the one to give, to support, and to be present, your absence challenges the other person to rise to the occasion. It forces them to contribute in a way they may not have had to before. They are no longer able to rely on you to keep things intact. Instead, they must rise to the challenge, put in the effort, and invest in the relationship in a way they may not have done before. Your absence forces them to be more present, more involved, and more conscious of the balance within the relationship. And let's not forget the most important aspect of all: your absence speaks volumes about your worth. It is in stepping back that you reveal to yourself the strength of your own boundaries, the importance of your own needs, and the recognition that you too deserve to be valued. Your absence shows the world that you are not afraid to walk away from situations that do not honor you, that you are willing to make the hard choice to prioritize yourself, and that your value is not determined by how much you give or how available you are to others. Your absence says that you understand your worth and that you are not afraid to create space for what truly deserves your time, energy, and attention. When you step back, you force the truth to rise to the surface. It is only in your absence that others may truly understand what you meant to them and how much they may have overlooked or undervalued your presence. But this truth, though often difficult to face, is what leads to growth, change, and a deeper understanding of what is truly important. Your absence reveals not just the truth about how others have treated you, but also the truth about how they must grow, evolve, and step up in order to honor the relationships that matter. In your absence, the truth will not only be revealed to others, but it will also be revealed to you. Often we become so accustomed to giving, to being present, to showing up for others, that we forget to take a step back and assess what our absence might reveal about our own worth, our own needs, and our own boundaries. When we remove ourselves from the equation, it forces us to take an honest look at the role we have been playing and the sacrifices we have been making. Are we truly giving for the right reasons, or have we been seeking validation in the form of others' dependence on us? Your absence will also show you what parts of you have been neglected in the process. How much have you been compromising your own needs, your own desires, and your own sense of self in order to please others or to maintain the balance in relationships? How many times have you ignored your own feelings in favor of making others comfortable, taking care of their needs, or meeting their expectations? When you step back, the clarity that arises is a reflection of your own well-being and the areas of your life where you need to refocus and prioritize yourself. This moment of absence gives you the chance to ask, what have I been doing for others at the expense of my own peace, my own growth, and my own happiness? It is only when you remove yourself from the equation that you can fully understand the extent of what you've been giving up and what you've been accepting in return. Have you been overextending yourself, trying to meet everyone else's needs at the cost of your own? Or have you been valuing yourself and your time in a way that ensures you are not just a support for others, but also a source of care for your own soul? In stepping away, you open the space for a deeper understanding of yourself, one that is not defined by how others perceive you or how much you give to them. Your absence helps you realize that you are worthy of more than just being the person who is always there to pick up the pieces, to offer support, or to make sacrifices. It is in this quiet space that you discover the power of self-respect, self-love, and the importance of filling your own cup before pouring into others. You are reminded that your needs, your boundaries, and your well-being matter just as much as anyone else's, and that true relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. Moreover, this absence provides the opportunity for healing. In removing yourself from a situation, you allow time for reflection and for healing to take place. The space you create by stepping back allows you to reevaluate not just your relationships with others, but your relationship with yourself. Are there wounds you've been ignoring? Are there dreams you've put on hold? Are there goals you've set aside in favor of helping others achieve theirs? This absence can serve as the catalyst for healing those hidden hurts, rediscovering your passions, and reconnecting with your own aspirations. Additionally, your absence serves as a test of the true depth of the relationships you've cultivated. It challenges others to step up and show you whether they truly value your presence or if they have simply grown comfortable with it. It puts to the test the authenticity of the bonds you've formed. Do they care enough to make an effort when you are no longer there to do the heavy lifting? Do they take the time to check in on you, to offer their support, and to show that they recognize the importance of your presence in their lives? In these moments of absence, it becomes clear who is truly invested in the relationship and who has been coasting on the comfort of your constant presence. It becomes evident whether they value you as a person or whether they only value what you do for them. Your absence forces them to take ownership of the relationship and contribute to its growth instead of allowing it to stagnate. In the silence, the depth of the connection or the lack thereof is exposed. Ultimately, your absence will serve as a reminder of your own strength. It shows you that you are not defined solely by what you do for others, by how much you give, or by how much you sacrifice. You are an individual worthy of respect, care, and love. Your absence serves as a boundary, a line in the sand that declares, I deserve to be valued for who I am, not just for what I can give. It forces you to take back your power, to reassess your worth, and to ensure that you are investing in relationships that honor you as much as you honor others. In stepping away, you are not only allowing others to learn from the truth of your absence, but also reclaiming the truth of your own identity, your value, and your importance in this world. It is in your absence that you will see who you truly are, not just as someone who is needed, but as someone who is deeply valued for your authentic self, for the uniqueness you bring, and for the strength that lies within. Your absence is not a loss, it is a revelation, both for you and for those who have come to depend on you. And in this revelation, both you and others are invited to grow, evolve, and understand the true significance of what has been present all along. In conclusion, remember that your absence speaks volumes louder than your presence ever could. It is in stepping back, withdrawing your energy, and allowing others to experience the void that you create, that the truth of your value is truly revealed, not just to those around you, but to yourself as well. It forces both you and others to face the reality of what is truly important, what is truly meaningful, and what needs to change. Your absence is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful declaration of your worth and the importance of boundaries, self-respect, and balance. In that space of silence, clarity emerges. You discover your own strength, regain control of your narrative, and invite others to recognize and honor the depth of your contribution. It reminds you that you are not defined by your role in others' lives, but by your unique purpose, your needs, and your ability to stand strong, independent, and secure in who you are. Let your absence be a reminder that you are more than just what you give, and that true relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and the willingness to give as much as we receive. So embrace your worth, set your boundaries, and know that your absence will always speak the truth that needs to be heard.